So two other ways that you can save some time are in quizzes, tests, other multiple choice or objective assessments, and in your course announcements. And so again, in using the demo unit, let's go ahead and pop over there. You can see again the examples are below here. I'm going to start with the quizzes. This is a really, again, unit just kind of got thrown together for purposes of the training. So, it's got one question basically. So when you go into the edit mode for quizzes, and remember it's labeled quiz, but obviously test it, any kind of assessment is really what that's for. So when you go into this first part, it just asks you for, some details information. Is it graded? It looks like there's a sync feature here, and I wish I mentioned that before. There are a few different options that, we'll talk about when we get into really, kind of robust best practices. But for now, let's go ahead and just pop over to the questions because there's really just one section that I wanted to explain. So you can see that there's just one question here, and the question is, which of the following laws attempted to eliminate the use of redlining in the housing sector? So again, this unit relates to the judiciary, and we're using some laws to kind of explain how we got here, essentially. Now, when you create questions like this, and we'll go into some of the question types, but you can see that there are several different options available to you here. With multiple choice questions, there are other types where you are going to have to physically go in and grade them. Even that process is easier than you would find in many other, like certainly in doing it face to face and everything. It just, the process is a lot simpler. But when there is a really clear, solid answer, multiple choice, true, false, fill in the blank to an extent, although you have to try to consider every possible way that the students would answer in order for it to grade automatically. That can, create a little bit of a challenge. Multiple blanks, multiple answers. Several of these, there's actually a solid answer to the question or answers to the question, and you can tell the computer what those are, and the computer will just grade it for you. So that's the nice part about this. So number one, that's when you create quizzes and tests. If you use a publisher with a test bank that can be loaded in, that's the easiest possible way to do it. You can load all of these questions in, you can pick and choose, you can create a pool. Again, it takes a little bit of time to set up at the beginning, but once you do it, again, never have to do it again. You just go in and tweak, adjust, or if you think a question is just bad, after you analyze it a little further, you can just get rid of it. Now, the answers that I have to this question, and I think I only have 3 here. So I have 3 different sets of laws here. And one of the things that you can do is create automatic feedback. And this is one that I have an answer that this is the correct answer and this is why it's the correct answer. If they selected the wrong answer, then this is why the answer is wrong, or this is why it was misleading, or it was a distractor, or whatever. So I can provide those each individually so that they get that really specific isolated feedback. Or another option here, if you look toward the bottom, if you kind of select this little blue button, then that will sort of enter it into general comments. So as they get the right or wrong answer, it can combine all 3 of those into a, hey, this is what the answer is and this is why it is. And that shoots out no matter whether they got it right or wrong. It really just depends on how much work you want to put into it, how much time you've got. This is, again, something that is an upfront investment, and this one's a significant upfront investment. If it doesn't automatically come with this in the test bank, and some do, so you might want to check with the publisher and see, do they have automatic feedback options for the questions built into that bank? Even if you don't have a test bank from your publisher, if you have it in a separate document that was just a Word document, you may want to check around and see if there's an add-on that allows you to format those things. Sometimes it's weird. It's like you have to put a little asterisk next to the correct answer. You have to have the document formatted just this way. But once you do that, it's worth it if you have 100 questions on a test. Then you can just load the document in and it will fill it all in. Worst case scenario, the formatting doesn't look quite right. You go in and you clean it up, and that's about it. So that's a way that, now, again, this might not be the best thing for you. You may want to say, when we get it back, I'm just going to go over it with them in class. Great. Just know that when you do that, you're going to have to do that every single time. When you do this, you don't ever have to do it again. So it's really just a question of, this might be one of those things that you put off until you have time, maybe over in the summer to take a look at it, or maybe next year if you want to keep doing this. or maybe try it out for just one quiz, kind of see how it goes. But just know that that's a function that is there and that it can save you time, because really it's something you don't have to go over again. The students can kind of review it on their own and understand exactly why, they got something right or wrong. So that is the quizzes. And then the last thing I want to point out was announcements. And this is pretty obvious, I think, for most people. You've probably gotten these in your email or in, when you check your inbox or your messenger. You can adjust those settings. And I know that that's, it's annoying getting all of those things into your inbox. Just make sure that you are checking Messenger, though, in Canvas, if that's the case, because you could be missing some. Eventually, administrators and teachers, and they really do like the idea of pushing this stuff out that way, and they might not go through regular email anymore. So it might, if they can do it through one course and one way to send you a notification, they might do that. So just always be aware of this stuff and be aware of your behavior around it as well. But when you schedule an announcement, one of the nice things about announcements is you don't have to send them out only when you think of it or only when it's timely for students. So if I know, for example, we've got an early release day in October, and that I want them to use that time to work on a paper that is due, that Friday. Well, it's September now. I mean, I don't want to, well, for me, it's September. I don't know when you're watching this, but if it's a month in advance, you're going to have to write a note in your calendar. You're going to have to try to remember, and that may or may not work for you. That you may forget, and that's something that kind of students miss out on. So when you create announcements, again, just a title, the gist of your announcement goes here, and then all you have to do is select delay posting, and then put the post date on there, and then that kind of takes care of it for you. This may not be a great feature for this semester. I mean, hit or miss, it might be useful, but where it's really, really helpful for me is when I have that, my semester's all laid out. I know exactly what we're doing and when. I've got the schedule, I've got all the dates, and I've got a set of announcements that I know I want to submit. It's annoying, but really I have a couple of channels on YouTube that I only allow myself to watch if I'm doing something else at the same time. It gets me more productive that way. That might be something for that project. I might have a big list of these are all the announcements that I want to post for this semester. I'm going to go in and post them. I'm going to schedule them, and then I don't have to think about it again that semester. The great thing is I don't have to think about it again ever, because that then copies over into the new semester. And so they're not going to post all the announcements because they're old dates. You have to go in and change the dates. But if you change the dates, that's it. All of a sudden, it takes you 45 seconds and you don't even have to do that ever again. So I think you're probably seeing a theme here that this is, once you do it once, in Canvas, you don't ever have to mess with it. You just have to update it. So those are some really great time savers. And once you have all of that really basic stuff under control, now we can get into some of the really great features that will bring out the best in your students.